Hello and welcome back to Green Devils, Ireland's newest Manchester United fan channel, and it's another special live episode podcast. Off the back of the news that Rúben Amorim is looking likely to be Manchester United's next manager. As you can see, I'm joined by a couple of people again. Obviously, Sean has rejoined from last night, and a couple of new faces, Gary and Killian. How are we all?
Fantastic.
Talk to you every day.
Good, good. Well, look, we'll get straight into it. Obviously, look, the news broke earlier on today that Man United were willing to pay the €10 million release clause to Sporting Lisbon for Rúben Amorim to join. Obviously, Gary, we'll start with you. Give us your initial thoughts on the potential new manager.
Yeah, so I was listening to a couple of podcasts throughout the day, and they're talking about when the decision made, because when the news broke that Ten Hag was sacked yesterday, it felt very unusual timing. It just, something wasn't, it was like, if we had beaten West Ham, would they have saved his job? But there was reports going around that they got a verbal agreement from him before the international break or during the international break. So there was obviously talks going on, and they had decided that Ten Hag wasn't man for them a few weeks ago. So it's not really surprising that it happened, but the speed at which it's happened it's very interesting. That it wasn't expected to be this quick. Thought Rude would have had a few matches, and there was reports about who we're going to get, if we're going to get Amorim, if we're going to get Potter, if we're going to get Julian Nagelsmann, and then to get Amorim, it seems like there's been a plan in place for a few weeks, which a lot of us were speculating that it doesn't seem like Ineos really are sure about who their man was, but this just confirms that Amorim was the chap they wanted, and they've gone out and got him.
Yeah. Good. Killian, how about yourself?
I was sitting on a train, very hungover, when the news broke. I was shocked. I was expecting Ineos to ride the wave a bit and kind of see what was going on. They had the opportunity to change, just like Gary said, but everything seems kind of structured, and from the outside, it looks like they have a plan in place. So to just go back on their decision to keep, what was said was basically a re-interview for Ten Hag. They went through all the coaches, they spoke to them all, and they decided he was the man, and now he's gone. So it's strange, and I'm trying not to get excited again for a new manager because it's happening over and over and over again.
Yeah, we're after losing Gary. But yeah, no, I know what you're saying. I mean, you don't want to be getting into that cycle of, rinse repeat every 2.5 years that a new manager comes in, and
it's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And look, I mean, I'll go to you in a second, Sean, but just while Killian made that point, I think for me, I think I might have said it in one of the group chats earlier on. Like, for me now, there's no hiding place for Ineos now, because when they came in over the summer, they changed everything from the board down except the manager, and they put all the structure in place, but they kept Ten Hag. But now they're getting their man in, so there's no excuses now for anything other than success. Look, I know it's still going to obviously take time for Amorim to kind of find his feet and kind of get used to the size of the club, I suppose, if anything else. But yeah, look, I mean, there's definitely it's definitely a positive. I think a positive sign, and hopefully.
I'm worried it doesn't scream incompetency from them.
Okay.
I'm concerned.
If they wanted Amorim all along, there's a 10 million release clause in his contract that we've now known about. They could have just bought him during the summer, or gone out and got him during the summer.
Well, yeah,
and
true.
Why did we have to go through 14 matches to realise the same thing they knew in the summer, that they didn't want Ten Hag? So it is, as you say, this is like you can't say it's their last chance, because it's their first real chance that they've had on taking on a manager. But it's just it's just questionable their methods of going about hiring Amorim.
Yeah. Go on, Sean. I'll bring you in there
Yeah,
now. And
I think we touched on it last night. Obviously, that the timing is the strangest part of this, but I'm still at the stage with Ineos where I want to just trust them and not get too don't read too much into whether it's a bad decision or not. Like, I think you kind of just have to take it as at face value and presume that, right, maybe Amarim was the guy that they wanted in the summer, but for one reason or another they couldn't get him in the summer. Okay, that 10 million release clause that's allegedly there, was that something that wasn't able to be activated in the summer? There could be some reason why it's only possible to do it now. I don't know. That might be something we'll never find out. Well, look, I think it was obvious in the summer that they didn't want to stick with Ten Hag, but they were possibly left with no choice. And that was possibly the right decision at the time. Because if the guy that they wanted wasn't available in the summer, what was the point in sacking Ten Hag then? You would have only been appointing an interim. And I don't think we'd be any further down the line in terms of progression to getting better. Had they sacked him in the summer and not gotten who they wanted. So yeah, so I just kind of want to trust them that they've done the right thing, and yeah, I just think we have to be optimistic.
As always.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
that.
sorry,
go on,
Kenan, go on. Or Gary, was
No,
it?
no, go on.
No, go on. Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was just going to say, it's like we are trying to be optimistic, but this club is grinding me down over the last 10, 12 years. Every 2 years, I'm optimistic about a new manager. Even under Moyes, I was stupidly optimistic that we had a chance of something because we just won the league. But then it's every 2 years to say the cycle just continues. It's like we went and got Louis, and it was a bit of fun. He was a bit mental and it was fun, but you're like, okay, he has tactics, he's a winner. And then you go out and she's like, oh no, we get Jose. I didn't want Jose, but he's a winner, he wins stuff. So you get optimistic, and then now it's a disaster because it's always a disaster with Jose after 2.5 years. And then Ollie comes in and it's like, oh, okay, we're optimistic, we've got Ollie. And then Eric Ten Hag was like real, like, oh, I think we've actually got a manager here now for the next 5 to 10 years. And 2.5 years later, we're back to let's get optimistic about another new manager.
Ten Hag was the one that I thought this is it. This is the one. He's here for the long term. And then coming in with Ineos on top of those, this is it. We're here. He's here to stay. We're gonna kick on from here. It is just I can't believe it. And I trying to put together in my head how it's all falling apart, and I can't. I have no idea.
I think though, like when Ten Hag came in, the possibility of the Glazers selling even a percentage of the club wasn't something any of us kind of could see ahead to at the time. It didn't think like they were ever going to budge. So like I get how it can be difficult to be optimistic given what the last 11 years have been like. But like Ineos are running the football side of the club completely now, from what we're told. And like they're only here since February, only properly here since the summer. And it's being optimistic, but it's being optimistic about more things than just the manager. Like as Brian said earlier, everything had changed in the club except for the manager. So now that everything has changed, it's a completely different club to be kind of hopeful for than what we've had with every single other previous manager that's come in. They have an actual system to go in and work in now, and that just wasn't there before.
I think what a telltale sign would be is if they had this plan is if Rude stays or if Rude leaves. If Amaron comes in and Rude's gone just after being appointed, then this clearly is just not part of their plan or so-called structure.
Yeah, I think I saw just on that. I think I saw something online earlier on. I think there was a report saying that Ten Hag or not Ten Hag, sorry, Van Nistelrooy kind of feels that he kind of feels, what's the word that was used?
That he's likely to head on. He's likely to leave now.
Yeah, but it was like he's uncomfortable with the notion that he was brought in under the basis to replace Ten Hag. It has even been suggested he expects to leave once a new head coach is employed. So, I think for me, I think on one hand, I would like to see Amorim keep him around at least for this season, just while he's getting to know the players, getting to know the club. But I mean, the other side of it is you could see there is talks that Amorim is going to bring 2 or 3 of his own coaches as well, which is it's natural for any coach to do. They're going to bring in the people that they trust. But I think when you're coming to such a big club, like Moyes is a perfect example. When he came in, he completely changed his whole backroom staff to his guys, and it just didn't work. So I mean, I suppose there's an argument to keeping him around at the club at least for the first 6 months. Do you know what I mean?
Oh look, who needs Rude when Darren Fletcher will be there anyway?
Yeah, it's a strange one. But yeah, look, I mean, on that as well, I think the speed of how they're getting them in as well. There's obviously Sporting Lisbon are playing tonight at 8:00, which should be an interesting game to watch. I think there'll be a lot of eyes on that one now. And obviously United are playing tomorrow night in the Carabao Cup against Leicester. So he's obviously not going to be around for that one. There's talks that he might be in charge by the Chelsea game on Sunday, which would be interesting. And I think if that's the case, there's a good chance he could actually be in the stands, I think, tomorrow night, which would be an interesting one if that happened. I mean, I think it's probably unlikely that the deal would be done that quick, but yeah, it's an interesting one.
I worry not worry. I feel for Rashford. How many managers has that guy gone through? It's ridiculous. But he is the face of United now. Like he is United. Him and Bruno maybe, but Rashford's been there longer. He's seen it all. Like,
Yeah.
at what point does he call it quits?
He's not won the lot though.
Yeah.
That was on the tip of the tongue.
Yeah. But
Where does Rashford go with his career? He's 26, 27 now?
I think that's largely up to him. You know, like if does he wanna stick around for whatever is next?
another rebuild, technically, really.
Yeah.
You know.
Ridiculous.
It depends on what Amorim thinks of him as well. Like, I've not looked too much into what type of players Amorim likes to play, but does Amorim have a Marcus Rashford style of player key in his systems? I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know much about. I've not watched much Sporting Lisbon in the last 4 years, basically, is what I'm saying.
No, I don't think many people have.
No. Like, I've watched less Sporting Lisbon than what Graham Souness has watched of Matthias de Ligt. So, you know, that's another reason why it's kind of hard to kind of be too okay. I want to be optimistic, but to be too this is going to be great, because I think it's very much the unknown for most of us. We don't know what to expect, but it's just trusting that it's the right decision.
Yeah, no, from the very, very brief videos and stuff that I listened to and watched, they're saying 3-4-2-1. So Rashford, like, it depends on what Rashford you want. Do you want Rashford out on the wing, cutting in on the left? Because he's not a number 9, and he's not going to be a number 9 under Amorim. Amorim seems to like a big man up front, like I'm going to butcher his name, Girakos. He was actually the Sporting striker. But he's like 6'2". He's very similar to like Hoyle in the build. So you're like, okay, 50. Like, it makes sense that he's just going to take over like Hoyland's going to be his new number 9. And then it's like, but Rashford, does he sit behind the striker in like one of the two behind like Bruno and Rashford? But
Yeah, well, like on the brief bit of Googling that I did there, like it appears that if he was to go with his kind of 3 forward system, he kind of likes, as you say, a big striker, one kind of winger stroke striker situation, which could be the Marcus Rashford type player, and then an attacking midfielder of a Bruno Fernandes esque. So, like, would your first choice 3 there be Fernandes, Rashford, and Hoyland? But then, obviously, you need a squad for a season. So, like, you're going to be leaving the likes of Garnacho out regular enough. But then, you need competition for places too. So, it's a case of, is he happy to stick around and fight for his place, or does he want certainty that he's going to start every week? And I think that'll say more about his character than anything else.
yeah, because I can't imagine either of them playing as like the wing backs.
No.
But what we were saying literally just before he came on, like we don't have full backs, let alone wing backs.
No, we're playing
any
Johnny Evans and Martinez as left fullbacks.
Like if Mazraoui, Dalot, Shaw, Malacia, all 4 were fit, you were like, okay, I can actually see this working because Shaw's played as a wing back for England, and Shaw going past Marcus Rashford, overlapping him helps Rashford cut in, so that could work. But we have 2 left backs who we don't know when they're ever going to be back, and then we've got 2 right backs essentially who are having to share the left back position between them week in, week out. And you can't play Lindelof or Martinez as a left wing back.
Yeah, and if only Luke Shaw was fit, because Luke Shaw in the games that he's played the last couple of years, he's gotten so much better defensively, and it appears that Amorim would like his kind of left back to be the more defensive out of the 2. That he kind of likes his right wing back to push forward a bit more than the left one, to kind of account for the lack of winger up there. And that kind of in attack, the back 5 would turn into kind of a back 4, and your right wing back turns into a bit of a winger. But again, for that to work, you need to have fit left backs, which we don't have. So how do you solve that problem?
Yeah, I think another positive, I think, of Amorim coming in is a lot of the younger players that are kind of still on the fringes of the team, the likes of Ahmad. I think it's definitely going to be a positive for him now, because like we've seen in recent weeks, people were calling for him to be starting games, and he wasn't. Even though he was playing well, I think he was one of our best kind of attacking players in terms of creating chances and stuff. So I think for the likes of him, Amas maybe to an extent, it's definitely a positive for them, because it's a completely fresh start now, new manager coming in, and it's a chance for them to impress and be fighting for those starting positions.
I can't believe we're talking about this again.
I know, but
so,
yeah, I know it is.
Be back to fight for Ahmad for the right wing position.
And I'm hoping the signing of like Xerxes, even Mazraoui and Delit, even though the Dutch connection, whatever. I hope they're Ineos signings and not Ten Hag signings, because I'm not convinced on Xerxes at all.
No.
I don't know what he does. I don't know where he fits in. Even the likes of Mason Mount. I'm hoping these are Ineos signings and not just solely for Ten Hag, because we're past that now.
Yeah, because Mason Mount cut his forehead a month ago or something, and that's ruled him out since then. And then you have Delict splitting his head open, and he's arguing to stay on the pitch.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, the one thing we know for sure is Manuel Ugarte was not an Eric Ten Hag signing. He was definitely an Ineos signing.
Yeah.
And he was Rúben Amorim's number 6. So I'd say he's rubbing his hands together thinking, okay, I've finally going to get a shot in this team. So you think if him and Kobe Mainu next to each other as the 6 and an 8 could work in the system that Amorim seems to like, because he loved Ugarte and he only had him for a year and then had to sell him for like treble what they paid for him, I think it was. So we could see the best of him, the new manager, because Eric Ten Hag was just having none of them.
I'm also really excited for Højlund.
Yeah.
He's very like, can't pronounce his name.
That striker.
That striker. Even from the highlights I watched there today, just from their last Champions League game, the way he runs with the ball, his strength, Højlund-esque entirely, and he's finally going to be getting chances, which is glorious. We might start scoring goals again. We might not. We could be shit for another 6 months. Sorry if this is a family-friendly stream, but
No, you're all right. Oh, good.
Yeah, I think they said Højlund's had 3 shots all season so far, and this Sporting striker, we're just going to call him that, he's had like 39 or something in 9 matches. He's like taken the most shots in Europe's top like 7 leagues, because I think Portugal's dropped out of the 5th league, but he's like taken the most shots in the top like 7 leagues in Europe in 9 matches. And you think Højlund's had 3, Garnacho and Bruno between them have had 43 shots, and they've scored a goal or 2 goals.
Yeah, and
Our striker doesn't shoot.
he doesn't shoot. Yeah, he kind of gets the ball and just kind of dabbles around with it for a bit, and then it just gets taken off him, and it might fall back to Ericsson, and he might have a pop then, and we're relying on somebody who was dead on the pitch for 2 minutes to score goals for us. You know.
And don't get me wrong, I love Højlund. I think he could be a 25, 30 goal season striker. Like, he has it in him. His finishing is brilliant when he does shoot. Like, I can't remember the goal, it was last season Champions League where he picked the ball up halfway line and just ran and then dinked it over the keeper. He's got the pace, he's got the strength, he's got composure, he's got everything to be a top striker.
Even that goal he scored against Brentford, like the little dink over the keeper, that was a beautiful goal.
And his one against Arsenal in pre-season.
Yeah.
So if any of you saw that game at 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever it was,
saw the highlights. Yeah, but kind of looking ahead. Then, I mean, obviously, Ruud is going to be in charge tomorrow night. Do you see there being any difference in style to what we've seen over the past few months, or can you see Ruud trying to implement something? I know, look, he's probably only going to be in charge for 1 or 2 of the games, so he's probably not going to change too much, but can you see, are you hopeful that we'll see an improvement? I suppose, Gary, we'll start with you first.
In a strange way, I hope we don't get a massive new manager bounce, because then you're just like, you're looking at the players being like, why weren't you doing this under Ten Hag? Obviously, we want us to be better. I want us to score. If we go out and score 4 tomorrow, I'm not going to be disappointed. But you're just like, why didn't you do it for the first 14 matches? It can't just all suddenly slot together when Van Nistelrooy's been there since the start of the season as a coach. So I think he will just play like square pegs and square holes. I think it's just going to be as like I wouldn't be surprised if there's no changes at all from the team at West Ham, and we could go out and win 2-3-0. But I just hope there's not this massive like bounce from the players that after the manager's just being sacked.
Yeah, there's a good chance that happens. Like.
I can see him coming out and giving the whole "go and express yourselves" interview beforehand. He'll say all the right things beforehand, but yeah, I'd have to agree with Gary. I can't see too much changing so quickly. You know, we spoke about his little black book in his back pocket last night.
But that was thinking like he'll probably get at least a couple of months. You know, but I mean, obviously now it's looking like he might only get 1 or 2 games at best. You know.
Yeah, but then if there is talk that he's kind of disgruntled about his situation, then maybe he will just say go out and play and see what happens. I don't know. It kind of just depends on his attitudes to the whole situation, and like if what's being put out there is true, then yeah, maybe they will just go full pelt. But I still can't see that happening. I think it's nothing too much will change.
Killian?
Yeah, again, pondering through the day, thinking. I was trying to piece together what does he say to the players in the dressing room before. I mean, it's fine when you're dealing with the likes of Xerxes Hoyland, who have they're new, that they haven't been here through the shitstorm. But how do you motivate Rashford? How do you motivate even Bruno? Like, talks of Bruno was looking to leave or didn't believe in the project. I don't know. I read that somewhere. I don't know if it's true at all. But how do you get anything out of those players, or we're just gonna be sick and tired of it? Probably more than we are. Huh?
Well, like, how did Ollie get something out of them in that game against Cardiff in his first one?
Because they had Jose Mourinho before him.
Exactly.
Well, like if
You go from Jose to Ollie, you're going to be happy.
yeah, but like, you know, if the rumors are true, they didn't get on with Ten Hag much better, did they? You know,
I
like
think.
there was
Sorry.
reports. Yeah, no, you're all good. No, there was reports today that like after defeats, they would end up doing extra training, and then they were more tired going into the next game
Yeah.
because of it. Like obviously there was the famous 8.5 kilometers or whatever it was that they did after the Brentford game 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But like even there's been variations of that happening allegedly in every game since.
But there's been so many variations of that story of the manager, like say under Ollie, he was too soft with the players, and the players kind of took him for a ride to a certain extent. So they said like, we need a disciplinarian going in, and then to a certain extent, that's what Ten Hag was. He kind of like you see what he did with Ronaldo, what he did with Sancho. He kind of laid down the law and said we need standards, and then because he set standards and expected a certain level from the players were giving out about saying, "Oh no, he's been too hard on us." So it's like it's one or the other. Do you know what I mean? Like these players shouldn't be dictating how a manager trains. Do you know what I mean? For me anyway, if a manager comes in and he has a standard of this is how we're going to set up, this is how I want to set us up to win. I need you to do A, B, and C. If you don't do it, out the door. So we'll get someone who can do the job.
I think you need a bit of a good cop, bad cop situation in there. Because, like players used to always refer to what Alex Ferguson was like, and he used to treat different players differently. Like, one player could make an absolute howler, and he's given the hairdryer at halftime. And then the next game, it could be a different player, and he wouldn't say a word to them. Just, the manager just needs to learn how to deal with different players and see what reaction different players need to get more out of them.
It's mad you say that as well. Actually, sorry to cut across you. It's mad you say that because I saw a report today saying that a lot of the players were kind of giving out, saying that Ten Hag seemed to favour other players and give them almost preferential treatment in terms of recovery and dealing with certain issues. But then when you look back at now, I know you could argue it's a different time. Obviously, Ferguson was successful and they probably trusted him, but Ferguson had his favourites. Like even when Cantona was there, he kind of left Cantona alone to do his thing. If he kicked off, he's like, yeah, whatever, do your thing. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's just a strange one where it's unfortunate. Like the players are ruling the roost to a certain extent.
But I think when that was happening back then, I think the players kind of universally seemed to accept it.
Yeah,
because
the difference was we were winning.
Yeah, we were winning.
No.
And I think players could see that, like, all right, he's after giving that guy a bollocking, but he's going to turn up at the weekend and do the business. And, like, yeah, Cantona's probably the best example of that.
Yeah.
But there was probably other players in there where if they didn't get that ball, they wouldn't turn up the weekend. And I think this is just more on the players than on any manager. Like, players' attitudes need to get better as well, and whatever the manager is doing, like they need to have their own attitudes in check as well. And it's so clear that that's just not been the case for a long time now.
Yeah.
I was watching. Okay.
I was just going to say, it's all sounding fairly downbeat at the moment. We've got a new manager. We should be a little happier.
We've seen it all.
Yeah, but look,
it is hard to be positive when they say we're starting just another cycle, which feels like endless cycles. But look, we'll just have to back them and see how it goes, and come back in 2 years' time and have the same chat again.
Yeah, just book in the next one of these for October 2026 or something, or 2020. Well, let's try 2027 maybe.
Yeah, they want to win the league in 2028, so
yeah.
Will Aaron be there in 4 years? I can't imagine he will be there in 4 years to win the league with us.
Well, 2028 will be 10 years on from the league that Jose won with us.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how much of a contract he'll get. I mean, it'll probably speak volumes of how Ineos kind of operate as well. I mean, look, we've seen massive contracts given out to managers, but I think the fact that he's coming in, I'd say you'll probably look at a 2.5 year deal, and probably with the option of a 1 year extension, and they'll probably go from there, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I can't say it any more than that.
Yeah.
Because they seem like intelligent enough people to not go out giving Chelsea contracts to people. So no, I'd say you're probably spot on with the 2.5 years or so.
Yeah.
I guess kind of on what we've been talking about in regards to Sir Alex and Jose and every kind of different treatment that players have got. We've had every type of manager. Disregard Moyes. We've had tactician. We've had the winner. We've had the charismatic, talk to the players and Ollie. And now we had Ten Hag, who's kind of the new best upcoming manager, even though a bit older. But I was listening to Vibe of Five, Rio Ferdinand's podcast, whatever, and he was speaking about how times have changed and you need to talk to players in a different way. Amaron's a young manager. He might be the one to maybe fill in the gaps that the other managers maybe couldn't.
Yeah,
we're going to be sold dreams anyway, but
people are saying it's good to have a manager as youthful as him, because he's been in dressing rooms where players are being paid 70, 100 grand a week, like in Portugal, which is massive money over there. So he's been around players. He's grown up in football. He literally finished playing football about 5 years ago. Like, he knows what dressing rooms are like nowadays. He knows what young players are coming in are like. And Brian, you were saying that he has a lot of youthful players in his team. Now, maybe that could be his way. He's like, I know young players now. I know how to get the best out of them. Put your faith in them, and they'll repay it in you. A lot of the stuff, the tweets coming out about Eric Ten Hag being sacked, most of the best comments, you've got the standard PR best of luck boss, but you've got Willie Kwambala saying, you gave me my first minutes in football, you trusted me. Copy Mainu coming out, it's the younger players who he gave starts to, or he gave the opportunity, seem to be the ones who have the genuine sorrow for him leaving the club, or thanking him for being at the club when they got their chance. So maybe we do just need to step away from the likes of, like, you see Varane liking the tweet, you see De Gea doing the symbol, and you're just like, oh, and I love David De Gea, but what a prick
Yeah.
for doing that. And you just think maybe it is good that we have a young manager coming in, like De Zerbi's young, and you can't compare the two of them as they're not the same person, but like it seems to be younger managers are coming in now. Like Brighton's new manager is 36 or 35.
They're all their age at the moment.
Yeah, they are, and I don't think I'd like to think Ineos aren't just jumping on the bandwagon of we get a new young manager and that'll solve it. But has a bit of pedigree behind him with the work he's done with Sporting, and has brought through young players, which Ineos seem to want to buy, is young players.
And I think he's clearly a guy that's been, like, apparently Liverpool were looking at him before they went with Slot. Man City are meant to be tapping him up to replace Pep. I think Bayern Munich were looking for him too. So, like, there's other big clubs and Liverpool that have looked for him before as well.
I'm seeing City pages backing out and claiming, "Oh no, we're never in for Amron, never."
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah. So, like, all these other big clubs have been after him, and for one reason or another, he said no, or it hasn't been possible. But as soon as Man United have come calling, it looks to be a done deal in less than 24 hours.
Yeah, it goes, but that's good as well. It shows that we still have the pull. As bad as and as much of a shit show as the club is at the moment, United is still a pull for the majority of certain players anyway, and obviously managers around Europe as well. I mean, even the fact that Van Nistelrooy was turning down managers' jobs to come and to be an assistant, like, that speaks volumes as well. As much as his love of the club, I suppose, as anything, but.
I'm very curious to see how the media treat him now. Considering he's younger, he's flying it at the minute. And the biggest stone with Ten Hag was the media. Like, it was ridiculous. And it was the thing that annoyed me the most, to be honest, just constant stories, all negativity, just blah, blah, blah. And on the other hand, you have Postecoglou, who's just the golden boy, similar to Arteta. Knowing that he's a younger manager and he has no real negative stuff around him at the minute, it's all positive. I'll be very interested to see how the media treat him within the first 2 weeks.
I can see him being better able to cope with whatever it is the media throw at him. But the fact that he's younger, like, he's the back end of his own playing career, he would have dealt with being on social media in that regard. Because, like, most of the shit that the media give managers now comes from, gobshites online, mainly. And them feeding through stuff to the likes of Samuel Luckhurst and whatever. So I don't know. I think he'll be fine, and he'll do all that type of stuff.
He's very charismatic.
Yeah. Well, apparently so.
He's a handsome man.
Yeah, because I don't know, but I imagine a lot of the older managers would be kind of thinking of the media of how they traditionally were back in the day, and it's just a completely different ball game now with media. Like, everyone's a journalist now. It's the problem that you have. And I think a younger manager will understand that more, and I think he'll just give less of a shit about anything that's said to him, and I can't see him kind of reading into it as much as the likes of Ten Hag might have been.
Yeah, well, I think he has pretty decent English anyway, so that's definitely going to be a positive thing for the press conferences. I think a lot of Ten Hag stuff was based on the language barrier there. Like, his English wasn't great, and I think some of the things he was trying to express, I don't think they came out quite the way he had it in his head. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I think a lot of it was, I think, that language barrier. But look, he didn't help himself on so many occasions in press conferences saying certain things. But look, no matter what he said, the media was going to spin it anyway.
Tell that to Louis van Gaal when he said the players were horny.
Maybe they were.
I'm hoping he has a blend of like all the best qualities. Like Ollie was he had the backing of like Gary Neville and stuff. Some sort of backing in like the media department, but I hope he has a bit of his charisma, but like the connection to the players, and then I don't know, the brain of Van Gaal. But good question though. But out of all the managers we've had, who would you want to give a second chance to, or wish would have wanted on like 1 year longer? Because
Ollie.
Ollie all day.
Yeah, be Ollie.
mine is Van Gaal.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
when you listen to like Wayne Rooney
Exactly.
was like, he's the best manager, he's the best tactical manager I've ever worked under.
Yeah.
Like he was disgusted that Van Gaal was leaving and he wanted, but the football was terrible. Like there was no fun watching it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it was going to get any better either. I think it would have just... We might have won another cup with him maybe, but I don't think it was ever going to be the long-term thing.
And the Ollie thing is pure bias. Like it's pure, he's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Man. I wanted him to do well. If he went on and did... If we won a league under Ollie, it would have been so nice. If we won a trophy under Ollie, like he was so close, but we just couldn't.
There with it, man.
I think if Ronaldo never came in, Ollie would still be there today.
Yeah, you said that last night, actually. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, that was kind of what broke it for him, and he wasn't strong enough to deal with that situation.
No.
Even watching the overlap when Ollie's talking, you can see he knows if Ronaldo didn't come in, he could have worked something, but it killed him. But it was a commercial decision. It was the Glazers' decision. Like
another question then.
Yeah.
Would you prefer Ronaldo not have came and went to City and Ollie gets his job, or would you go without him?
Yeah, but sure. Look, I mean, one way of looking at that is yes, they didn't sign Ronaldo, but they got Haaland and won everything anyway.
True.
Yeah. So so based on that, I probably would have said, yeah, leave them sign Ronaldo. Maybe we get Haaland. If Ollie was still there, well, it's a possibility. If he was available at the time, and obviously Ollie had connections back before he even went to Dortmund. Wasn't it? He said that he rang up United and said, like, get him. He's like 13 million or something. You can have him, and they said no.
I think it was 5 million or something.
Yeah, was it 4 at the start at Molde when you had him at Molde.
Yeah. No, I think on Killian's question there, I think in hindsight now, the fact that he did that Piers Morgan interview, he may as well have just gone to City, really.
Well, yeah.
Because like ever since that Piers Morgan interview came out, I can't stand him. So he may as well have just gone to City. As Brian said, City who won the lot anyway since then, so that still would have happened.
No, I've got some very different views on Cristiano Ronaldo as not just as a footballer, but as a human being. Like there's a reason he can't go to America anymore. And that's something we're going to get to talk about on this.
Well, no, yeah,
I didn't want him back when he was coming back, and even though he was bang goals in, I was like, well, it felt very Greenwood-esque vibes for me. I was like, I can't really celebrate these goals that he's scoring, and so when it was like, oh, he's coming back, I was like, I'd rather he didn't, and it blew up and. Like, so you still have the memories of him in 07 and 08 and stuff like that. But I'd like to think he's tarnished his legacy a little bit at Man United for a lot of fans.
Yeah. But look, I mean, on a positive note, look, we are getting a young manager in. He's a young up and coming manager. I think he won his first trophy for Sporting Lisbon in 19 years, I think it was. First time they've won the league. So in a long time. Which is, look, it's a positive. He's young. He's obviously got new ideas. We don't know too much about him. They are playing a game later on tonight, which I think the majority of the United fan base will be tuning in to watch on all your legal streams. So yeah, look, I mean, yeah, lads, thanks for joining me tonight. Kind of a special live episode. It's great to get other people's opinions and stuff on this kind of stuff. I mean, look, on the face of it, it looked like it's another cycle, but as we kind of said, this is day one now of Ineos's kind of ownership of the football. So it's now 100% on them. They have their entire structure in place. They're going to have their man in place. So let's get behind the team and see where we go. See how far they can take us.
Quick question before we go.
Yeah.
One word answer. Who is Amorim's man? Who's going to thrive the most?
Ooh.
Which player, like?
Who shines?
You'd like to say Ugarte, but
Yeah.
I think Bruno is our best player. And if he gets into a system that works for him, we could get back to seeing the Bruno of 2-3 years ago. But I think Ugarte could be key to like his midfield.
Hoyland for me.
Sean?
Yeah, I think it's too difficult to put it down to one player. I think there's a lot of players there that need a bit of a rebirth. Ugarte and Bruno are the obvious ones to look at. I don't know. Might we see the best of Dalot as well? Maybe as well. I think Dalot, if you want to go for somebody a bit more of a dark horse option in this, I think Dalot possibly.
Yeah, I think for me it'd probably be Ugarte and Highland. I mean, obviously as Gary mentioned earlier, like he was his man at Sporting, like when he came through. So, and obviously we've seen what he can do with the striker as well. So they'd probably be the two for me. But yeah, like, I think it's a chance for a lot of the players to improve. You're going to see a different system. You're going to see a completely different style of play as well. So there's probably, as Sean touched on, there's probably a couple of dark horses in there that you probably wouldn't expect to improve, but could do, like Dalot, or you might even see the best of Rashford. It's a bit of an ask, but you just never know. Do you know what I mean? No one really knows for sure what kind of a system he's going to bring in at United. Obviously, everyone's just speculating based on what he plays at Sporting. So, but yeah, look, I mean, it's exciting times. In one aspect, look, I know it's not great, obviously, when you sack a manager, and especially after only after 2.5 years. But yeah, look, I think it now is just look ahead, try and focus on the positives, and get behind our man.
Let's hope Johnny Evans never has to be man of the match ever again.
Yeah.
Come on, United.
Yeah, exactly.
We go with Sir Alex Ferguson's words: "Get behind your jobs to get behind your new manager."
Exactly.
And we will get behind him.
Yeah, exactly. Lads, thanks a million again for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem at all. And look, we might do it again. Who knows? We could have.
See you in 2.5 years.
What's that?
See you in 2.5 years for this.
Yeah. But yeah, listen, thanks a lot, and thanks everyone in the chat. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Might do a watch along tomorrow night for the Carabao Cup game against Leicester, and so yeah, we might see you for that one. But lads, again, thanks very much, and we'll chat to you later.
Bye bye.
Take it easy.